Welcome back again. You're still watching us here on the Daily Debate. I'm very much delighted to welcome once again this evening here in the studio Ambassador Dr. Samir Borhan, former Assistant Foreign Minister for Treaties and International Law. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much
for joining us. Your Excellency, today the leaders of Greece, Egypt and Cyprus have met for the 8th Tripartite Summit. And this gives a lot of positive indications in terms of the progressiveness of this summit, the successfulness of this summit. Let's talk more about the importance of these three leaders holding such trilateral talks.
Thank you very much, Madam, for this question. And I think that Egypt and Cyprus and Greece has historical relations between these three countries. And the 8th rounds of the summit meetings between those three the presidents of these three countries, three friendly countries, is no wonder to surpass any difficulties in the relation between the bilateral relation or the cooperation in such a way that to overcome any difficulties. This is one thing. The other thing that because of this is the 8th rounds, that means that we have passed 7 rounds before that, and those 7 rounds has put the basis for a strong relationship between those three countries and personal relationship between the president of Egypt and the presidents of Cyprus and Greece. This is one thing. The other thing, we have also very good economic relations between those countries, and Egypt and Greece has always been friendly countries. We have in Alexandria and Egypt and all over Egypt very big sizable communities of Greek persons, which is now not that much as it was before 1952, and we have also sizable Cypriots living in Egypt, and we have also Egyptians living in Athens and all different countries in Greece and in Nicosia or in Cyprus. That means this reflects that the relationship between those three countries on the presidential level, on the governmental level, on the social level, on the people's level is very good, and we hope to continue that progress in the future. And this is because we have the 8th summit meeting between those presidents, and we don't want to disregard that we have signed Egypt, Turkey, and Greece, and some other countries, Israel from one side, and I think Lebanon maybe. A treaty to invest and to settle down all the boundaries, maritime boundaries in the Mediterranean Sea. So because of this, and we have on the basis of those treaties between the investment treaty on discovery of gas and petroleum in the basin, in the Mediterranean basin, we have established an organization of gas, which has its site in Egypt, I think in Cairo, to organize and to invest in those and to help those countries to better invest the maritime resources and especially the gas and the petroleum in the Middle East, and to produce even after we have invested the gas or the petroleum, and we have to see how can we produce electricity and export it to Europe out of these resources.
Yes, Your Excellency, you mentioned a number of valid points. Let me start with what you ended with saying in terms of treaties and international law. And as an expert in this regard, let's clarify more to the viewers on the importance of holding such international treaties between these three countries, specifically when it comes to the gas exploration and the boundaries or the maritime borders, if we may say. Because you've mentioned other countries, Turkey popped out And with all the press media coverage nowadays, there seems to be a confusion on who has the right to draw treaties and who has the right to be there or not. Maybe you can explain that whole process.
Thank you very much, Madam. I think the international treaty of the law of the sea, which organized how to invest in the economic zone of each country. Each country has a border up till 200 miles. 200 miles in the sea, starting from the shores or the tide, the shores of the country into the sea to the 200 miles of, and this is an exclusive economic zone for each country. Of course, the opposing countries in the other side of the maritime or the side of the Mediterranean, like Cyprus, like Greece. If we have 200 miles, and Greece has 200 miles, and Cyprus has 200 miles, this will have to be in an opposition situation, because our borders will cover more than the borders of Cyprus or Turkey.
So from here the agreements took place.
No, so this was the agreement. We have convened these both countries, Egypt, Turkey, Egypt, Cyprus, and Greece, to have a treaty to settle down any differences might come out in the Mediterranean, to invest in the gas and to explore the petrol or gas and petrol. So we have managed to have this treaty between those countries, and later on we have the organization. I think now Israel and Lebanon is having another treaty to define or to determine the maritime borders between those countries, and with Libya and Cyprus also. So all the Mediterranean countries has convened or have convened to settle down any differences that might come out of the investment in the Mediterranean Sea of gas and petrol.
This is in terms of investment, which we'll also be talking further about in a moment. But Egypt is very pioneering and experienced when it comes to the security process. So a big part of this entire agreement is settled down to secure the borders of each country and to exchange information and means to securing the borders. From a security perspective, which also comes under the migration issue. And maybe here we can also recall the Cypriot president who asserted Egypt is the pillar of stability in the Middle East, and he also praised the efforts to combat terrorism and illegal immigration. The positioning of Egypt and the role that Egypt is playing, not just being a country in representing the African continent, but also the Middle East, what does that add to the stability of Cyprus and Greece?
Thank you very much, Madam. If you look at the map, the geographical map, you will find Egypt. If you have the coordination of Egypt, we will find Egypt is the center of the world. In the center of the world. Egypt is a pivotal country in the Middle East, in the Arab world, in Africa. So we have to manage to determine any differences or to manage any dangers might come out of our borders, either territorial borders or maritime borders. So for this reason,
whether terrorism or immigration even.
Yes, for these reasons, our government, President Sisi and our government has already increased the power of the Egyptian fleet. We have bought 2 helicopter carriers.
Yes.
And this is why, this is to support and secure the maritime borders. And to secure the exploration of gas and petrol in the Mediterranean. So we have we have cooperated with any company, the Italian company, Eni. So the Eni is exploring the gas and petrol in the Mediterranean. So we have to protect our investors. So this is why we are a pivotal country in the Middle East, in the East Mediterranean country, Egypt and the other countries. We have other important countries like Iran and Turkey and Israel on the other hand. And we have also very important countries because we are very close to the southern European countries, Italy, Spain, France. We are in the southern part of the Mediterranean. All those countries are Mediterranean countries. And we have, in some place, I think we have signed an agreement to have an organization for the Mediterranean countries looking over the Mediterranean Sea, which will include Spain, Italy, France, and I think we have 2 or 3 meetings in this regard.
Your Excellency, at the beginning you said a very important statement, and that the 3 countries, they share friendly and historic relations. And from here, and it's very obvious with the tripartite summits that are taking place for 8th rounds, is that there seems to be common grounds, common interests, and joint opinions when it comes to the different political issues that are happening in the region. And as you said, it's a small world, and these Mediterranean countries will always be affected directly or indirectly with what's happening in this part of the world. To what extent are these 3 countries aligned when it comes to the political issues?
Look back to the history, Madam, also. We have when Cyprus declared its independence under Macarius, Archbishop Macarius, we supported the independence of Cyprus from Britain. And we supported Macarius against all its enemies inside Cyprus, because he has some troubles from a general like Grievous, his name was Grievous, and all the surrounding areas, because and when Turkey invaded the north of Cyprus, we supported the legal governments of Cyprus against Turkey. And there is still...
Well, because it is a strategy that we refuse
we consider
external people to internally interfere with people's affairs.
We consider ourselves friendly countries, and we have sizable, as I have already said, we have sizable community, either Greek or Cypriots living in Egypt and mingling and mixing with the Egyptians. In my country, in Upper Egypt, we have a grocery managed by a Greek in the Upper Egypt, in Said. So it is...
You're very integrated in the society here.
So we have historical relationships, either on the social life, governmental life, or now on presidential on the presidential sector, or in presidential level.
I want to go back again to the demarcation of the maritime borders, and let's talk more about the specific agreement that took place in this regard between Egypt and Greece, which was signed last August. And that agreement in specific was able to open the way for further development of these historic relations, as you correctly said, between Cairo and Athens. So I was to ask you, Your Excellency, about how do you read this in light of the strong political relations ongoing today with Cyprus as well? And to what extent has this demarcation further enhanced the political relations between these 2 countries together?
I think the friendly relations between Egypt, Cyprus, and Greece reflected in those agreements between those 3 countries, because on the basis of the friendly relations, we signed this agreement to mark the maritime boundaries, or the economic exclusive zone, according to the law of the sea, which was the Treaty of the Law of the Sea, which was signed in 1982. And because of that, we have now overcome a big difference, because that might have been a basis of differences between the countries. Now we have settled down all these agreements, and we have now very good cooperation between those three countries. We have the gas organization in Egypt, which we will hope that by the filtration of the gas and the petrol, we can have big power, electricity power stations.
Yes, in the Mediterranean, and that's why they said that there would be a hub, energy hub in this Mediterranean region in the upcoming years.
Later on to Europe and to other countries.
Yes. Your Excellency, just as correctly you've mentioned, the further and strengthened cooperation between Greece, Cyprus and Egypt is what we're going to be looking at in this upcoming report. Ambassador Dr. Samir Borhan will go out to this short report and we'll be right back.
Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus give the international community a model for successful international relations and cooperation between countries. The first tripartite summit between Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus was held for the first time in Cairo in 2014, and then in Nicosia in April 2015. The third summit was in Athens, and the fourth was in Cairo in 2016. The fifth Egyptian-Greek-Cypriot tripartite summit was held in Cyprus in 2017 and was attended by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The visit that marked a first for an international Egyptian president to Nicosia. The fifth Egyptian-Greek-Cypriot tripartite summit tackled topics including coordination between the three countries, enhancing their relations in the political, economic, security, and tourism fields. In 2014, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with his Cypriot counterpart on the sideline of the 69th session of the UN General Assembly. Several topics were discussed then by them, along with announcing both countries' support for each other's political strategies. During President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's last visit to Cyprus, several new agreements were signed between the two parties, including memoranda of understanding in security issues, economy, and communications. The aim of the trilateral cooperation between Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus in 2014 was establishing a mechanism that combines political consultation between the leaders of the three countries periodically in order to discuss international and regional issues of common interest. It also aims to strengthen economic cooperation in various fields. From 2014 to 2019, the 7 trilateral summits succeeded in reaching agreements and signing of memoranda of understanding in different fields. And currently in 2020, officials of the three countries are discussing the implementation of an electricity grid between Egypt, Cyprus, and Greece, along with other vital strategic files.
Back again, you're still watching us here on the Daily Debate. I'm still joined in with Ambassador Dr. Samir Borhan, who is a former Assistant Foreign Minister for Treaties and International Law. Your Excellency, now, since we've been speaking about the strengthened cooperation, let's talk more about the position and the opinion of how both Greece and Cyprus view the Libyan crisis, the support to the Egyptian stance towards the Libyan crisis, because as you said again, Libya is also sharing the Mediterranean with all the security issues and the the sort of circumstances that are happening on the ground. It will definitely be of concern to the Eastern Mediterranean countries like Greece and Cyprus.
I think, Madam, that Cyprus and Turkey and other countries like France and Spain and Italy is very, very concerned about the intervention of Turkey in the Libyan crisis. Because Libya, the Turkish president and the Turkish government has sent militias and sent weapons and has sent financial and military aid to the government of Al-Wafaq Al-Watani International, led by Prime Minister El-Sarraj. So I think this is very annoying to Turkey, to Greece and Cyprus, because Cyprus, the distance between Cyprus and the Libyan shores I think it will not cover the distance by the maritime law 200 maritime lines. So I think Cyprus and Turkey has common stand against the intervention of Turkey in Libya. We as a neighboring country to Libya, we also oppose the intervention of militias from different countries, especially from Turkey, and the intervention of Turkey and Turkey taking sides with the Sarraj government in Trablus, and this will aggravate the situation in Libya. And as we are neighbors to Libya,
I mean direct neighbors as in borders, in case people are not aware geographically, where does Libya and Egypt stand?
We are territorial neighbors. So it concerns us more than it concerns Libya, to Turkey.
Definitely.
If Libya has sent...
By nature of borders, I mean, if you get a primary child, you'll be able to describe that.
Let alone the family ties, social ties between the Egyptians and the Libyans. The Libyans are our cousins, our brothers, our sisters. Many Libyans are living in Fayoum and in Alexandria, and many workers, Egyptian workers, are working in Libya, Trablus, Benghazi, and other Sirte and other places. So if Turkey is concerned with the situation in Libya, we should be more concerned with the situation in Libya.
And I'm glad you mentioned about the tensions that are ongoing between Greece and Turkey regarding the last period of time with the escalation of Ankara's policies against the Greece and Cyprus both as well. We've seen a lot of call by the international community from Greece and Cyprus towards putting an end to the Turkish aggression, as they have called it, within their Mediterranean maritime borders. To what extent do you think this would gain support by the rest of the world, and where does Egypt stand in this dispute?
Definitely we will stand behind Cyprus and Greece, because
it's their ultimate right, basically.
Yes, because we have ties with it. We have signed agreements to invest.
No, it's their ultimate right as well, at the end of the day. I mean, Turkey, we were just discussing, Turkey's not even on the Mediterranean. Anyway, what are you doing there?
I think in this regard, the Cyprus and Greece will call on the international community to intervene if the situation aggravated. So I think at this moment, I think Turkey has withdrawn its exploratory ship to send an exploratory ship to explore the maritime resources in the East Mediterranean, which annoyed Turkey, which annoys Greece and Cyprus. And because of those countries are members of the NATO, organization of North Atlantic agreement, I think the NATO will appease.
Yes, and pardon me for interrupting you there, but I mean, when you define terrorism by nature, it is basically anyone or anything that comes against your right or destabilizes your security and stability of your people, your home, your nation, / your private property. To what extent will defeating terrorism require prioritizing international cooperation between these three countries in light of the Turkish ongoing provocation? And to what extent will these international communities and decision makers be able to stand on a firm, clear stance that will not, before it leads to an unfortunate confrontation of any kind?
I think the opposing international terrorism is a primary policy of the Egyptian government. So we have to oppose the terrorism where it is, either inside Egypt or in the neighboring countries.
Or its borders.
In the neighboring countries, Turkey, in Libya, in Palestine, in Sudan, in all those, we have to fight or to confront terrorism around the boundaries of Egypt. Because of those countries, Greece and Turkey, have friendly relations with us, so we have to cooperate with those countries as a first step, and we have to cooperate with the other countries in the Mediterranean, like Spain, France, Italy. So because of those, we have also to fight the illegal immigrants from Africa to Libya to southern Italy, Cyprus, Greece, and so we have not only the terrorism, but we have also to fight against illegal
immigration, which is another time bomb. Now, frankly speaking, despite the power of Egypt and its stance in the region, in the continent, and its strength in military ranking, that Egypt is always keen to ensure a political settlement in any crisis. And it's always pushing for resolutions and agreements and treaties to resolve conflicts without interfering in internal affairs of other countries, without going for the option of violent or self-defense, if we may call it in this perspective, as a first option and opportunity. And from here, President Sisi always affirmed Egypt's support to the UN efforts in maintaining international security, as well as promoting sustainable peace efforts. In your opinion, where's Egypt's most prominent achievements at maintaining these international peace and security in the region?
Madam, we are a loving peace country. We have engaged with the United Nations in the battalions which were sent in different countries in Africa, in the Far East, and under the flag of the United Nations. So we
you're talking about the UN peacekeeping missions.
Yes. So we sent contingents, Egyptian contingents, military, to support the efforts of the United Nations to pacify any situation, either in Africa, either in the Middle East, either in Europe. So we supported the United Nations efforts in to settle, to keep peace and international security. So this has always been the motto or the task of Egyptian government since our primary days of the Republican governments in Egypt since
yes.
Gamal Abdel
Whenever there's any inauguration or celebration, President Sisi is always cautious to deliver specific messages, and usually when President Sisi speaks, he's very well aware of every single word and its meaning and where and to whom this message is delivered to. Let's talk specifically about President Sisi's messages during the commencement of the class of 2020 for the military academy that took place yesterday here in Egypt, and other military schools and colleges. The president asserted in specific that no foreign aggressor is able to attack Egypt. And from here, how do you read this announcement? What does it reflect and imply at this stage? And what do you think really lies between the lines of the president's message, this message in particular at this time yesterday?
I have read the speech of our President Sisi, and I think in the opening ceremony of the military cadets,
ceremony.
I think Egypt has begun and intensifying the power of each military forces, either in the air, in the sea, or in the ground, on land, sea, and air. So we have purchased so many different countries. We have diversified the sources of weapons. We have in the past, or in the near past, we have.
In fact, we have also started doing our own.
We have
ammunition.
We have purchased our weapons from the United States and from Britain. So we have so we have opened another markets for our purchase of weapons. We have purchased from Russia, from China, from Germany, from Italy. So we in the diversification of our resources of weapons, so we wanted to be a power in the Middle East to be reckoned with. So I think.
So do you think that the message would basically apply that, you know, there are different plans and scenarios to sort of get back to whoever tries to, as he mentioned, particularly
this is a message,
foreign aggressor.
Yes, this is a message to the outside world. You see, we have built a power, we have built
a position, a status, a stance.
So we can defend our borders, either in the sea, in the air, in the land. We are starting to increase the number of our army.
And moreover, we have a say now, basically, politically and economically. So it's not the same.
I think
it's not the same Egypt as it was
I think
5 years ago.
On the other hand, I think our president is a very cautious person. He does not send any declaration.
Random messages. That's exactly what I said.
Yes.
He's always cautious in
he's a
the
cautious
messages he
person.
delivers.
So he does not impromptu say anything which comes to his mind.
That doesn't mean something, yes.
No, he means something. By the declaration, he sends message to the outside world, to the neighboring countries.
And that's why I was very keen to ask you this question on a final note, specifically on this statement, because I thought it had a very direct relation to what we're talking about and the aggression and terrorist interference as far as the borders and the maritime borders go. Unfortunately, our time is up. Ambassador Dr. Samir Borhan, former Assistant Foreign Minister for Treaties and International Law, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much,
It's been a pleasure meeting you
very
today.
much.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our program, and I'll see you hopefully next Wednesday.